Mystery envelops a quiet Nova Scotia morning. A gravel road tucked deep in the rural stretch of Lansdowne Station. Spring air still cold. Trees just starting to bloom. It's peaceful, ordinary. A place where danger feels far away. But on May 2nd, 2025, something unthinkable happened. We are out to take a very deep dive into the mystery behind these children's disappearance. But before we do that, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like and share your thoughts work on this matter in the comments below. Now the details. 2 young children, 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack, disappeared from their home without a trace. No witnesses. No clear trail. No sounds of struggle. Just an open back door. And silence. Their mother had left early that morning for work. Their baby sister was still asleep. And the only adult home at the time was their stepfather, Daniel Martell. By mid-morning, Daniel says he noticed the kids were gone. He says he searched the area quickly, frantically before calling police. At 12:25 p.m., the RCMP issued a public statement, saying they believed Lily and Jack had likely wandered off into the woods. They said there were no signs of abduction. 4.5 hours later, they escalated the case, classifying it as a vulnerable missing persons alert. By then, it was too late. Hundreds of searchers combed 5 square kilometers of dense terrain. Helicopters, drones, K9 units. Every ravine, culvert, and trail near the Sullivan home was explored. But there was nothing. No clothing. No boot prints. No toys. No trace of Lily or Jack. And while the public clung to hope, doubts were already starting to surface. Because the timeline didn't make sense. The accounts kept shifting. And most of all, people were asking, why had the children vanished without even being seen by a single neighbor? At the center of it all stood one man, the last adult to see them alive, Daniel Martell. His story was simple. He turned his back for just a moment. But within that moment, 2 children had disappeared from the face of the earth. And in the months since, the questions have only grown louder. Who was Daniel Martell before this? What exactly did he do in the hours after the kids went missing? And why, even now, has no solid lead ever been confirmed? Now, the RCMP has confirmed critical new details, evidence gathered, interviews conducted, and disturbing gaps in the timeline that were kept from the public until now. And what they reveal could change everything we thought we knew. But before we go deeper, I want to ask something from you. Something that could actually make a difference. Please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts, your theories, or even just a message of support for the families still searching for answers. Because someone, somewhere, knows what happened to Lily and Jack. And sometimes, justice begins not in a courtroom, but in the collective noise of people who refuse to forget. The truth is out there. And it begins with what Daniel Martell did or didn't do in those final, crucial hours. His name is Daniel Robert Martell. The children called him Dad, though he wasn't their biological father. By all appearances, he was a quiet man, low profile, private, living with the children's mother and their youngest baby in a modest trailer tucked off Gairloch Road. And on the morning of May 2nd, he became the last adult to see Lily and Jack Sullivan alive. In his words, it was just a normal morning. He told investigators he was in the bedroom with the baby Meadow, only 16 months old. Then, he said, Lily poked her head in. She didn't say much, just stood there for a moment. And then came the sound that would change everything. The back door opening, and silence. Quote, I didn't hear them leave, just the door. I figured they were outside. Playing. Daniel claims that within minutes he was looking. He searched the roads, the ditches, the culverts, even areas of pipeline nearby. But he found nothing. That's when the timeline starts to break apart. According to multiple sources, there are no confirmed sightings of Lilly and Jack on May 2nd, in fact. No one outside the home saw them after May 1st. The first emergency call wasn't made until just after 10 a.m. Daniel told RCMP that's when he noticed they were truly gone. But their mother reportedly didn't even hear about it until 9:40 a.m. That leaves a troubling gap of nearly 90 minutes between when the children were supposedly last seen and when police were finally contacted. What happened during that time? What was Daniel doing? And why has no neighbor, no camera, no passerby been able to verify that the children were even visible that morning? As panic set in, the response effort exploded. Over 100 volunteers from across Pictou County joined RCMP officers, K9 teams, aerial drones, thermal imaging helicopters, even divers. In total, over 5.5 square kilometers of rural terrain were combed, foot by foot. But the more they searched, the less they found. By May 7th, just 5 days in, RCMP made a quiet but chilling announcement. They were scaling back the search. And while the official narrative still avoided the word foul play, their confidence in a simple wandering-off story had clearly begun to crack. Behind the scenes, the investigation expanded. The RCMP Major Crime Unit took over. So did Behavioral Sciences, the Truth Verification Section, the Criminal Analysis Service. National partners got involved. The National Center for Missing Persons, the RCMP Forensic Identification Section. Even polygraph operators were brought in. As of June 11th, the RCMP had interviewed 54 people, followed 488 tips, seized multiple electronic devices for forensic review, and continued to analyze every detail of the Sullivan home and the family's private lives. Then, a breakthrough, or at least a clue. A child-sized boot print was discovered along a pipeline trail near the property. Investigators won't confirm whether it belonged to Lilly or Jack, but not far from that footprint, searchers found a piece of a blanket, faded, small, with a pattern the family says belonged to Lilly. Quote from Daniel Martell: "I recognized it right away. It was hers. And that wasn't the only thing they found. There's more evidence than the public knows. But still, no children, no suspects, no arrests. And with every passing day, the investigation became less about finding 2 missing kids, and more about unraveling the web of truth and fiction spun in the hours before they disappeared. Because timelines don't lie, but people sometimes do. And somewhere in that fog of confusion, half-truths and memory gaps, one question remains. What was Daniel Martell's final step toward the unknown? From day one, the stepfather is the immediate focus. Daniel Martell, by his own admission, was the only adult present when Lilly and Jack vanished. And he knew what that meant. He didn't wait for a lawyer. He voluntarily surrendered his phone, gave up access to his banking records. He offered to take a polygraph, even submitted to a full panel drug screening. On paper, it looked like the act of a man with nothing to hide. But if that were true, why has public trust never truly followed? Martell later told a local journalist that the polygraph was the worst moment of his life. Quote, "They asked me straight out, 'Did you kill Lilly and Jack?' And in that room, I just froze. Not because I had anything to hide, but because even the question felt like drowning." He says he passed. The RCMP has never confirmed or denied that statement. And while polygraphs may sound definitive, the truth is they're anything but. Polygraph tests are not admissible in Canadian courts. They measure physical response, heart rate, sweating, blood pressure, but not truth. Investigators may use them to guide questioning, but they are not proof. They are not science. They are theater. And in a case like this, theater is the last thing anyone needs. The deeper issue lies beneath the surface in the psychology of proximity and control. Statistically, the most dangerous people to a child are often the ones already inside the home. Daniel Martell was the last to see them. He was familiar with their routines, their vulnerabilities. He could explain away sounds. The back door was unlocked. No signs of forced entry. The family dog didn't bark. There were no strangers spotted. No vehicles reported. No footprints except one. If someone else had taken the children, they would have had to enter quietly, confidently, and leave without leaving a single trace. That level of stealth suggests either professional abduction or someone who didn't need to sneak. Someone the kids trusted. Someone already inside. Still, not all suspicion points inward. In the vacuum of hard answers, online speculation has taken on a life of its own. Reddit threads, Facebook groups, and fringe forums have turned the case into a hive of rumor, armchair profiling, and digital finger-pointing. Moderators of several community groups have posted legal warnings, begging people to stick to facts. Even the Justice Minister stepped in with a statement reminding the public that misinformation and defamation could not only derail an investigation, but irreparably harm innocent people. And yet the vacuum remains. Because for all the effort poured into this case, there are glaring omissions. Authorities confirmed they searched the trailer, the outbuildings, the wells, culverts, septic systems, nearby lakes, even abandoned mine shafts. But nowhere in official records is it confirmed whether the RV parked on the property was ever processed forensically. We don't know if forensic swabs were taken from clothing, toys, or bedding. And crucially, there's still no timeline explaining what law enforcement did in the first hour after they arrived. That first hour is everything in a missing persons case. Every moment wasted, every scene left unsecured, every item left unexamined, becomes evidence lost forever. These are not accusations. These are the consequences of silence. Because when information is withheld, when public trust is ignored, people start to look elsewhere. And in that gap, the question forms. Is this a case of children who tragically wandered off? Or a nightmare cloaked as a mystery? Was this an act of evil hiding in plain sight? Or a failure too big to admit? A cryptic timeline? A cooperative suspect? But still no clarity. A search that turned up only fragments. And a growing belief that someone is still being protected. In the end, are these just scattered threads in a painful tragedy? Or the early clues of something far darker? The answer may lie in the next revelation. Or it may be that the truth is simply too painful to face. As of August 2025, there have been no arrests, no charges, no trial. The case remains open. Officially, it is still classified as an active missing persons investigation. Unofficially, it has become something else, a haunting silence that stretches across Nova Scotia, like a shadow that never lifts. There is no courtroom drama to dissect, no verdict to analyze, no satisfying final scene where justice arrives. Only this: a search still ongoing, a community still waiting, and a family still shattered. In the middle of it all are two children. Lily Sullivan, age 6. She loved coloring, talking to animals, and had recently learned to ride a bike without training wheels. And Jack Sullivan, 4 years old. Curious, joyful, a little wild at heart. His favorite show was Paw Patrol. He had a gap-toothed smile that lit up the whole room. They lived with their mother, their stepfather, and baby sister Meadow, just 16 months old, off a dirt stretch of Gairloch Road, in a rural trailer surrounded by trees and silence. On the day they vanished, their parents had decided to keep them home. Lily had a cough. It wasn't serious, but enough that she'd stayed out of school the day before. There was no school on May 2nd anyway. The family said, so they let her rest. The routine was supposed to be simple. A quiet morning, a normal day. But instead, the family's life split in two. The day before May 2nd, and every aching moment after. Their mother made a public plea in the early days. "We just want them home. That's all. We want them home safe, and we won't stop looking until they are." That time, as it does, keeps moving forward. And with time come theories. Some still hold to the earliest explanation, that Lilly and Jack wandered off into the woods and became lost. It has happened before. Others believe the story never added up, that the lack of physical evidence, the clean property, the quick jump to conclusions, all suggest inside involvement. There are those who ask whether the children may have had developmental differences, autism, sensory sensitivities, that could explain unexpected behavior. Some say that information was never made public and might have changed how the search was handled. And then there are the darker theories, the ones people whisper but rarely say aloud, that something was staged, that there may have been prior warning signs missed or ignored, that someone, somewhere, knows exactly what happened, but has chosen silence over truth. Even more speculative threads claim there may have been an unseen witness, or that someone within the family circle may be withholding more than they admit. But let's pause, because speculation, however tempting, has consequences. This story involves real people, real parents, siblings, and loved ones who wake up every day without answers. Spreading rumors without proof not only deepens their trauma, it can actively obstruct justice. So while we examine theories, we must do so ethically. We must cling to facts, not fantasies. And above all, we must remember what's at stake. 2 missing children. The RCMP continues to investigate. As of their latest statement, they have received nearly 500 tips, conducted dozens of interviews, and seized multiple devices. That they are still asking the public for help, and a $150,000 reward remains on the table for any information that leads to the safe return of Lilly and Jack, or to the resolution of their case. So if you know something, anything, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously, because no detail is too small, no whisper is too late. And for those who simply care, who followed this story, shared it, wept for it, there's still a role to play. Keep talking, keep sharing, keep hoping, because the truth may not be loud. Sometimes it surfaces slowly, one voice at a time. And if we go quiet, the story ends there. But if we keep listening, if we refuse to forget, maybe, just maybe, the ending can still be rewritten. For Lilly, for Jack, no one should give up. They vanished in a whisper. But as long as hope breathes, their story remains unfinished.